If you felt like 2020 has already been a huge year for Tesla and a great year for their growth and increased deliveries, then I gotta tell you, 2021 is just gonna get even better with all the stuff that's on track to be operational next year. I think you're gonna see some very interesting things with the stock, and we're also gonna see some seriously game-changing numbers when it comes to quarterly deliveries. So Tesla has already surprised a lot of people in quarter two of this year with surpassing 90,000 deliveries, despite Fremont being closed for practically half of that quarter. Giga Shanghai made up for a lot of that. They're ramping very, very fast there, and the great news is Giga Shanghai is just about to double its annual output capacity. So they have essentially finished construction of this phase 2 plant, which is basically diagonally right behind the first phase, which has been mass producing the Model 3 so successfully for the past almost coming up on a year now, but still it's been doing great. And this whole second phase is going to be mass producing the Model Y, and Tesla is already starting their mass hiring spree of making sure they can get enough employees at this factory so that they can actually build Model Ys at the caliber that the factory is built for. So this new casting press, we've heard about it in Fremont, and we know they're going to be using that casting press at the phase 2 Giga Shanghai location. And we already know from the results of phase 1 that the operating costs in China are much, much lower than they are in the United States, which means that cheaper assembly line overall for the Model Y, which is a higher priced vehicle, which means higher profit margins and lower operating costs at that factory, means the Model Y is just going to be a complete cash cow. And they're essentially just putting together the manufacturing equipment inside the factory right now, and multiple times they have said that they will be operational and churning out Model Ys by quarter one of next year. But personally, China has beat their original schedule several times, so I have the feeling that we could start seeing the first mass production or volume ramp of the Model Y in China by the end of this year. Given the facility is complete and the manufacturing equipment has been loading in there for the past few months, and they're kind of on an insane hiring spree right now, I think it's reasonable to assume that we're just a few months away from seeing trial production of the Model Y over there, and then eventually volume production will take place shortly thereafter, just like we saw with Model 3 production, which was ahead of schedule for China last year. But that, of course, is just one piece of the puzzle. The Chinese market is a huge one, and Tesla is doing really, really well there. However, Tesla's about to change the game all over again once Giga Berlin goes online, which will almost certainly go online in the middle of next year as well. Now, it's important to also note, Giga Berlin is using these next generation manufacturing techniques with prefabricated molds, mixing cement and building things on site before they become a part of the building. And if you've been following anyone who's been covering the construction of Giga Berlin on Twitter or YouTube, you know that things go up fast over there. Just one day you'll look up and be like, oh, they finished the roof, or oh, they finished that wall. And the great news here is, again, they're ahead of the schedule they were already ahead of, which means, in my opinion, there's a good chance that we could start seeing trial production at Giga Berlin in perhaps even quarter two of next year. And the date they've had from the beginning, ever since before they broke ground at this factory, was that it would be operational by July, but keep in mind, ahead of schedule. So in my opinion, it could be operational by June or perhaps even May. And this is going to have a next generation paint shop. I imagine quality control at this factory to be much, much better than what we saw out of Fremont. And the European market is also, of course, a real huge one that is already a big fan of Tesla's. It's just there's this very high import tax Tesla has to pay for when they ship their vehicles, across the country and across the Atlantic into Europe. So Teslas over there are much more expensive than they are in the United States. So once they're able to start actually building the Model Y at Giga Berlin, you should see really competitive pricing, and that crossover hatchback segment is a fairly popular market there. So obviously in Europe, there's a lot more competition in the EV space. There's a lot more compact hatchbacks that do well there. So Tesla's probably got a way to go before they start introducing new models. There's been rumors brewing of Tesla kind of modifying the Model 3 to be more suitable for the European market, maybe more of a compact hatchback style. That's all speculation. There's rumors going around, but either way, this factory is going to have an immense production capacity, and I imagine deliveries out of Model Y starting in the middle of next year is going to look great, considering they're going to have Fremont, of course, producing tons of cars. Shanghai is going to have two phases now in operation, with Model 3 ramping and Model Y ramping, and now Model Y, which again is a very cost-effectively built vehicle, being mass-produced out of Berlin and being delivered all over the continent. But that's not all. No, it keeps getting better. So we had something to look forward to at the beginning of 2021 with phase 2 of Giga Shanghai, have something to look forward in the middle of next year with Giga Berlin, and at the end, it all comes together with Giga Texas. They're likely only a few months away from the official groundbreaking at Giga Texas because they're moving very, very fast here, leveling the land and moving soil, and the more we see them do, the more we realize how massive this facility is truly going to be. But with the laying out and spreading out of the gravel at this site and drilling in to see how the soil feels and if it's compact ready and ready for foundational work, it's very, very reasonable to assume that we could see Giga Texas become operational or online by the end of 2021. And that's where the real bread and butter comes from, the Cybertruck. With its iconic stainless steel exoskeleton, it's already weird enough seeing people make prototypes and fan-made versions, and one Cybertruck sticks out on the road so significantly that imagining an assembly line of them and lots of them being cranked out every day, it's just going to be insane. It's going to put a big grin on my face. And this next US factory is supposed to be Tesla's biggest location ever, and it's not just going to be producing Cybertruck, it's also going to be building the Tesla Semi, which we also expect volume production to start and deliveries to begin next year. They probably have a pilot line that they're experimenting with in Giga Nevada. We saw a few rumors brewing for that, and Tesla has admitted themselves that they're going to use the Tesla Semi themselves for their own purposes before they start official deliveries, which in my opinion is a great move. Work out the kinks, figure out the beta problems, that way your paying customers don't have to worry about it, and then once you're ready for volume production and deliveries of commercial vehicles, you'll have a more ironed out product that's working. Plus, it just would look bad if Tesla had their own Semi and yet wasn't using it for their own manufacturing purposes, so I totally get that. So at Giga Nevada, there's potentially going to be a few Tesla Semis being produced next year, and Tesla will just be using them for moving around parts and moving around batteries and that kind of thing. But given the groundwork we're seeing done at Giga Texas, I think it's reasonable to assume Cybertruck deliveries could take place at the very end of next year, and that means we're essentially going to have 1, 2, 3 major Tesla factories turn online just within next year, okay? We only have like 2 operational factories right now, and we're going to have 3 additional ones by the end of next year, meaning 5 in total, which is, you know, that's where you're going to see the insane delivery numbers that Tesla talks about increasing by 50% year after year. 750,000 vehicles in 2021, I think they're going to hit it no problem, and then in 2022, you could likely see the first million vehicles delivered within a single year. I'm very excited to see Tesla's rapid growth and acceleration. Let me know what you guys think of it down below. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.